What is up, y'all? Within today's video, we're going to be talking about Trisha Paytas and Jeffree Star because if you guys did not see in a previous video, I forget which video it was, I had mentioned that there was some rumor circulating on TikTok that Jeffree Star was going to be on Trisha Paytas' podcast, and then he did confirm it on one of his lives. He actually just made a TikTok with Trisha, so it is 100% coming. But a lot of people are pressed about this. She actually touched on it in a recent podcast, and that's what I'm going to be playing within today's video and talking about all the comments on that TikTok because people are really upset. Now, I am going to sound a little bit repetitive here because if you guys saw my other video about Jeffree Star and Tana Mongeau, this is going to be the same talking point here, but I just have to say, I feel like it's so hypocritical of Trisha Paytas' viewers to talk trash on Jeffree Star, and there is countless, and I mean countless, there's probably like thousands of comments saying, no, don't have Jeffree on, saying that he's a bad person, he's a controversial person, like, oh my gosh, you're doing so good, don't have him back on. And I have to say, I am so sorry, but this is where people to me are so damn hypocritical, and I don't know why for some reason. That is my biggest pet peeve in life, is a hypocrite, because I'm like, you are commenting to Trisha Paytas. You're commenting to Trisha Paytas about somebody being controversial. It's kind of like, don't you see what's going on here? Hello, you're talking to Trisha Paytas. She is literally one of the most controversial people on like internet history, and you're commenting to her saying, don't have Jeffree Star on your podcast because, oh, it's bad for you. It's kind of like she has had her past too, so has Jeffree. And I really do feel like I look at Jeffree sometimes and I'm kind of like, I could see him totally still being a diva. I see him still being that same aggressive type of person. But I feel like he has really laid low for the past couple years. And I really do feel like Trisha Paytas is really like living her best life right now. I feel like as soon as she got married and had 2 kids, like she's really doing good for herself. And she's not getting into any type of controversy. She's not getting into any type of drama. She's not really, you know, saying anything offensive or crazy like how she used to. And I really, you know, am glad for her for doing that. But also at the same time too, Jeffree Star could be on the same boat too. And maybe he's learning and growing. And the fact that there is so many people that are so anti-Jeffree going on her podcast, I'm like, Trisha Paytas has had a really, really rough past. Like, you guys can literally just hop on Google and look at all of Trisha Paytas' controversies and like take a look there and see. It's kind of like, it's really not too far-fetched to have somebody like Jeffree on her podcast. Also, I have to say too, in my personal opinion, and I have mentioned this before, I'm so sorry, but I really, out of all the guests, I really want like James Charles and Jeffree Star on her podcast because I just want to know all the tea. I'm so sorry. Call me nosy, call me whatever. Yes, all of it's true. I don't really care. Because I'm just like, damn, I feel like there was so many unanswered questions about everything. And I really want to know, like, what's the beef with Jeffree and like James Charles and their whole falling out. And then on top of that too, I want to know too, like, about Manny MUA. Like, I really do hope that she asks about Manny MUA because I'm so curious to know about their falling out and what's the tea with that. Because in my personal opinion, I've said this numerous amounts of times before, I feel like there was like NDA signed because I really feel like above like everybody else, like he bashes James Charles like all the damn time. How come he doesn't really ever say anything bad about Manny? Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, maybe Manny has some type of dirt on him. Maybe they signed an NDA. I don't know what it is, but I hope that they talk about this. And I just feel like there's so many unanswered questions. Also about Jeffree Star and Trisha Paytas and their drama. I'm curious to know about that too. Because their whole story, if you guys followed their story, how they went to Vegas and then she said that she had the best time ever. And then like a couple weeks later saying it was horrible. And he like fat shamed her and all these things. But then he ended up apologizing to her. But then she ended up retracting it and saying like everything's fine. But then the hairdresser ended up like bashing her and calling her like a walrus on Instagram Live. I'm kind of like, what's happening here? Like, I'm so confused at what's really going on. And then obviously, as you guys know, recently, I want to say within the past year, she was on her podcast and was like, I don't even remember exactly what happened between us. And that's when Jeffree Star got pissed because he was saying she ruined my life. I'm so baffled. I'm so baffled because I'm like, wait, like, how did she ruin your life? But then you did make a public apology to her. So therefore, obviously, you did something wrong. So I was really left very confused about this whole situation. So I am so sorry to all the haters out there that are like talking trash to Trisha Paytas for having him on the podcast. I think it's a great move. I think it's probably going to be like one of her most watched episodes, to be quite honest with you, because I feel like there is just so many things that they have to talk about and there's just so much drama. Also, within today's video, we're going to be talking about like she recently in a recent episode talked about James Charles and said that she kind of feels bad for him because apparently he said that he likes her, which I'm so confused about because we talked about this, I want to say maybe about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. It could have been a long time ago now, to where James Charles and Trisha Paytas were beefing on TikTok. And y'all, those, I don't know if you guys remember those videos. They had millions of views. I want to say like 25 million views. I was like, damn, this beef is really messy. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Make sure you guys give this video a big thumbs up. Let's go ahead and get into it. I want to go ahead and start this off by playing a small little clip from her episode to where she was confirming that Jeffree Star was going to be on her podcast. And then I want to talk about some of the comments that people were leaving about this. So go ahead and check this out.
I knew Tana was here Sunday, so I knew she said Jeffree, because she's like, oh, is he coming on Friday? I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, he's coming on ours tomorrow. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I saw this happen. I was like, oh, thank God, I have some more stuff to talk about for our interview. You know what I mean? There's a lot to cover, but I was like, this is like in addition to now, so that's like really good. It's like, oh, we're gonna cover the same topics, which is fine. You know, we have different interview styles, but I just thought it was like, oh man, that's gonna be the same topics. And then I was like, we got this one. We can have the aftermath of what went down.
As y'all saw from right there, she confirmed about Jeffree Star coming onto her podcast, which obviously we already know by now because they did do TikToks together. Jeffree Star confirmed it on live. He also even said in one recent live too that he was pulling up to her house soon to film the podcast. Now, in the clip that I had shown, it was basically like a repost from some TikTok user. Now, people within that comment section were going off on Trisha Paytas saying, don't do this. This is so dumb of you. You've grown so much. He's so controversial. Don't have him on. He's the spawn of Satan. All these things. Now, I do want to talk about this TikTok that he actually created with the sound from Mean Girls with her. And a lot of people were praising it and saying that they're actually excited to see it. But then we do have some people commenting on here like, uh-oh, blink twice if you need help, Trish. And then also, no Trish, no Trish. Like, there's a bunch of mixed comments, being that this was Jeffree Star's post, but then Trisha Paytas did repost it. So there's some people from Trisha Paytas's following over there, but then mainly from Jeffree's. But there is a lot of people that are agreeing, saying, oh my gosh, Trisha, don't do this. I personally feel like, why not? Do you know what I mean? Especially, I am so sorry, people, like, I don't know, maybe everybody has a different definition of like a podcast, but I really do feel like when you have a podcast, it's kind of like invite your enemies on there. Do you know what I mean? Like, even if you don't get along with somebody, like, have an open conversation, because that's really what's entertaining at the end of the day, and that's what viewers want to hear and see. So it's kind of like, even if you don't get along with a person, like, have them on. Shit, like, I'm so sorry, but like, low-key, if I had public beef with people, I'd be like, hey, let's have a podcast about it. Let's talk about it. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously I know that's going to be engaging to the viewers. So like, why not? Anyways, I do want to go ahead and play a small portion to where she was talking about James Charles. And y'all, there was a lot of comments about that too, saying things about her, but I'm just kind of like, maybe she feels bad because she like totally bashed James before, and then maybe she saw a different side of him to where like, oh my gosh, like I've publicly talked so much trash about him, but then he's being nice about me, so then I kind of feel bad. I would feel the same way. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. You can call me whatever you want, but I just feel like at the end of the day, if there was like somebody that I didn't like publicly, let's say James Charles, for example, y'all know I've had a lot to say about him. Imagine if I was like, oh my gosh, I can't stand James Charles. He's this, he's blah, 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 blah. And then he made a video saying, oh, like I really liked him. I would be like, oh shit, well, damn, I feel bad. Do you know what I mean? So I get where she's coming from, but I feel like a lot of people can't really understand that. But go ahead and check this out.
I love James Charles said he loved me on live the other day. And did you see it? It's so funny. He's like, I really like Trisha. I know she doesn't like me. That's totally fine. But I was like, oh, you kind of feel bad. I'm like, I know. Maybe part of me is
we don't dislike you. We dislike what
your
you
actions.
did.
Yeah. And there's only one time that you said something happened, and it's hard for me to get past, but I feel for him. I feel for him a little bit. I feel like sometimes I see compilations of like James Charles moments that like stay in my head forever, and it's like moments I've never seen before, and it's just
he has a charm. I've always said that it's hard to like, I get why people are on board with him because he has a charm.
Charm is a wild word because like David Dobrik has a charm where it's like he's so
David Dobrik does have a charm,
but his charm is.
He's so outrageous.
I think it's more like you kind of feel bad, but like kind of like me too. You kind of like, oh, Trish, like I feel bad for her.
You have a charm.
So as you guys saw from right there, I don't know, I understand where she's coming from, but then people were commenting. Once again, this is from a repost. I want to say, every time that I get these clips, I want to say it's from Spill Some Tea With Me or something like that. Let me see if I have it right. Oh my gosh. You know what? I don't have the username right here. Because sometimes they allow to like save the video, which then saves it with their handle. And then sometimes you have to go and copy the link to save it. So I don't have it. But anyways, within that comment section of where I got that video from, or that clip from rather, somebody said right there, he is a PEDO, makes sense. Trisha feels bad. She dated a PEDO, you guys know. James, Trisha, Jeffree should be canceled, and yet here we are. Someone also commented, if she can have Jeffree on, she could have James on. And then somebody else, he preys on children. Yeah. Does she not know who he is? He's a P word. You guys know, on and on and on. So obviously people were really upset about that. But I have to say, like, I don't know, I kind of get it because she probably feels bad because obviously she's had a lot to say about him. And I think that, like, for him to obviously, I'm sure he knows all of the things that Trisha has said about him before. So for him to say, like, oh, I find her entertaining, or I still kind of like her, or whatever the case is, then obviously she's going to feel like, oh, well, damn, I feel kind of bad. Do you know what I mean? I get it. I guess a lot of people don't see it like that. But y'all, I don't know. I'm coming to realize about myself that I just be feeling bad for no reason. I don't know why. Don't know why. Don't ask me why. Anyways, make sure you guys let me know your thoughts and opinions about everything. Low key, I am super excited for their podcast, Jeffree Star's and Trisha Paytas', because I don't know. I feel like it's gonna be a good episode, and I really hope, because I feel like Oscar is really good at like being a journalist, so I feel like he has a lot of questions. Do you know what I mean? And I know that typically when she has a guest, he may not always be on, but I do feel like he does write like the postcards, you know, for her, or whatever they're called, something cards, cue cards, I don't know. And I really feel like he'll have some good questions for her to ask, because I don't know, there's just so much to ask. Like, y'all, I feel like I could have like a 3-hour conversation with Jeffree, because I feel like he's just been in so many scandals that I want to know them all. Anyways, make sure you guys let me know your thoughts and opinions about everything. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, Girl Scout.